Hey everyone, Arnaldo Offerman of Master School Dances. After my seminar at the Mole Beat Las Vegas MBLV 18 show, I've had a lot of requests to talk about the Inno Spot Pro. And the reason is because I labeled this one my favorite light. Because out of all four Innos, and I had a chance to play with all four of them recently, the Inno Pocket Spot, the Inno Spot LED, the Inno Spot Pro, and the Inno Spot Elite, for the features and the price point, you can't beat this. I needed to find a moving head that's going to allow me to do quite a few different things with it, not just in terms of moving and creating lighting excitement on the dance floor, but also a light that's going to allow me to do architectural or theatrical applications with it as well. And I think for the money, I'm going to be able to get, I'll probably have, but I can take 2 or 4 of these and even more and just create something exciting without breaking the bank. So let's go over some of the features. I'm going to show you why this is my favorite light, and hopefully it'll become your favorite moving head too. Let's begin. First of all, what do we have here? We have a lightweight, compact fixture. The base is going to be super easy to maneuver around because it's got handles on both sides. On this part here, you can either, have it sitting using the little feetsies, or with the included mega mount, you can put it in a clamp, and of course, hang it upside down. Now, one of the great things again about this being a lightweight fixture isn't really as much as, it's super easy to hang, because no matter the weight, you can use the new snap clamps or the quick rig clamps from Global Trust to hang this thing with one hand. But the reason that this is lightweight and that's a good thing is because this head here spins super fast. Also because this is the Pro version, the motors are a little bit quieter, actually they're a lot quieter than the Inno Spot LED, and it's got 16-bit motors. Basically means you have your pan tilt plus fine pan and tilt. It also has feedback. Now that means if you have the moving head here and we're hitting a specific spot and some drunk goes by and whoops hits it, the thing will automatically correct itself when it's on DMX mode. So that's really exciting. Now to control this, you can use DMX. I urge you, please use DMX. If you're going to go into moving heads, don't just leave them on plug and play. Use DMX. But hey, maybe you don't want to use DMX quite yet, or it's something you're not ready for. You have your UC3 control right here. Now on the side, you're going to see that we have the DMX in and out like usual, power in, and this one does have the power out. It's one of the things that the Inno Pocket Spot and the Inno Spot LED don't have because of their size. This one's a little bit of a bigger base, again, more pro features, so you do have your power linking. Now, the internal features on this guy right here, before we actually talk about all the main goodies, you'll see here that we have where you can unscrew this and screw it in. Now, with the other lights, that's to focus. This guy, nope. This guy is to zoom in and zoom out. Now, you got a 5-degree difference, so you can go from 12 degrees to 17 degrees. So if you want a nice wider spot, take it all the way in. If you want to have a little bit further throw, then you take it down to 12 degrees, all the way down, and you get a nice compact but super bright beam in there. But now I want to talk to you about the internal features. Now, what I mean by that is the stuff that you can do with the Gobos, the DMX programming, all the exciting things. But looking at this isn't really going to help you enough. So let's give you a better look. Please make sure your kids and anybody under 18 is not looking right away, because this thing's about to get naked. On the back side, this is not the area that you should be messing with, okay? Basically, of course, you've got your PCB. You got your little board with all sorts of cables and doohickeys and magic. This is where the magic happens. Okay, but one of the things that I like about this particular board is it's fairly easy to work on yourself. But of course, while this thing's under warranty, do not mess with it. And if you're not proficient with electronics, just don't mess with it at all. You're going to notice, of course, right here, we've got the great fan. And we got a heat sink because it's got a bright 80-watt LED. So that 80-watt LED source, of course, is going to emit a little bit of heat, but that's what the cooling system's for. What we have is we have this little guy that goes back and forth. That is the 3-facet Prism. So that's one of the things that caught me, right away is that, just like the Inno Spot LED, this has a 3-facet Prism, but it rotates. One of the great things about this particular one is if you actually were to look inside the Prism there, which you can kind of see it if you take it apart a little bit, but it's got, ball bearings, so it's a very nice, smooth scroll on the Prism, and it has indexing. Now, if you don't know what indexing means is, with DMX, it's not like this just, keeps spinning one way or another, but I can actually fine-tune it and say, I want it to be right there. And it's great, especially if you want to cover a wall area, or maybe hit a few chairs with or tables with a pretty pattern, but maybe the prism isn't right where you want it to be. You can dial it to be at the right angle that you want it to be. And of course, for some advanced programming, this is a huge deal. So the fact that you're finding this in a light that's under $900 map is absolutely insane. But again, 3 facet prism, easy switch in and out between, and of course, rotation. Okay, so now as I flip the moving head around, we've got 2 individual wheels I want to look at. First, we have our color wheel. And I'm going to touch on the color wheel in just a second. But first, I want to talk about the Gobo wheel, because the Gobo wheel, just like on the Inno Spot LED, you have Gobos, you can spin them, you also have indexing as well, so you can have them at a certain area. And right now, with this one, I have 2 glass Gobos, and the rest are metallic. Now, these 2 are custom ones that I got. These 2 are stock. These 2 guys are stock. But again, the Gobos that come with them, they're not cheesy Gobos. They're not little radioactive signs or flowers or moons or stuff like that. They're Gobos that, you know, you'd want to use in some sort of application. And the glass Gobos are really cool because even though they're glass and they're already colored, you can mix it with the color wheel to create new patterns. So I really like that. The this guy right here, it's like a red and white with these funky little stripes. And what I did is I used these lights for the very first time at a small corporate party, and it was a Christmas theme. So I actually took this one, I blurred it a little bit, pointed at the ceiling so the light bounced off because it was so bright. Instead of using floods, I bounced the light off the roof with these things and it lit up the area. But instead of doing a white spot, I did it with this and I blurred it quite a bit because right over here is the little, actually this guy right here is the motorized zoom, or motorized focus, excuse me. So with the motorized focus, I was able to have this completely blurred, and then it sharpened a little bit, and it almost looked like peppermint patties. It was really cool how it looked. But the motorized focus, you can do quite a bit with it versus just making sure the Gobos are sharp. And I'll cover that in just a bit. Now, the wheel is really exciting. And the reason the wheel is exciting, because again, you got nice, vibrant colors. I don't mean, you know, colors will look faded. I mean vibrant, true vibrant, really rich. Something that you would not expect to see out of a moving head that's under, you know, 900 bucks. So really nice, vibrant colors. But there is no nasty gap in between. I mean, it's almost color straight to another color. Now, the reason that ADJ did this is because they wanted to go ahead and add another pro feature that you don't often see, at least in the cheaper moving heads, and that's color indexing. Now, we all know back in the day when and you know, even nowadays, moving heads, a lot of them have split colors, where I can, you know, have the right here like the red and yellow, and I can have half red, half yellow. But with this one, I can actually choose the degree. So I can say, well, I want it to be 1/4 red and 3/4 yellow. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, because if I slap a fire Gobo in here, because remember, these Gobos are interchangeable. So if I slap a fire breakup Gobo, and I blur it just a little bit and have it rotate, not the prism, and then I have part yellow and then part red, now it gives me actual realistic flame type of effect. Or I can split it, or I can do whatever I want. So again, color indexing, something really exciting. Also, this wheel is insanely fast. There's an actual color scroll mode where this thing just keeps spinning like you wouldn't believe. And one of the fun things about it is if you notice, it's infinity. Now, some of the moving heads, have you ever taken them apart where they keep going and then it stops and then you got to go all the way back? Not this guy. This thing will keep going forever and ever. You can have it go really, really fast, so you get a color scroll so fast it almost feels like a strobe. It's trippy, it's great, especially when you have the prism, when you have it rotating around. Oh man, it's just crazy some of the effects that you can create on the dance floor. And of course, the same thing is with the Gobos. You know, you can have them spin forever and ever and ever and ever, amen. So again, you have a Gobo scroll like never before. So that's actually pretty exciting with that too. Taking the Gobos out of these guys is insanely easy. So, you know, there's multiple ways you can do this, but for me, the Gobos that I have and that come with it are fairly thick, so they're not going to snap on you. So I literally just kind of put my finger in here because there's a little retainer clip. Okay, I just push on the Gobo, and there it is. There's a retainer clip. Now this is a custom Gobo that I made with some little snowflakes on it. Now this allowed me to use this light multiple times for multiple themes. I don't have to bring, you know, Gobo projector or anything like that. I used it with this guy. Then I just popped the new Gobo right in the exact same way as before. So again, just put your Gobo in, take your retainer clip. If you're not going to use in DMX, you're going to use the UC3. You can actually go here, set your Gobo to actually focus exactly where you want it to be, and it'll remember that as you're using your UC3 or standalone or whatever option you choose. So just because you're not using DMX doesn't mean you lose out on the actual focus feature, so you are able to focus it. these are all the features. It's just a great moving head. It is, robust, and I've already taken this thing to multiple events, and it's kind of paid for itself. Actually, it really has paid for itself because it's replaced numerous lights. The nice wide angle has allowed me to be able to use it for events where floodlighting may not work. I'll give you an example. I was doing a wedding, and it was a heck of a wedding. There were definitely a party crowd, but because of the room layout, honestly, the best spot where I could have been was probably about 100 feet away from the dance floor. Well, maybe 75 feet. So you have the actual stage area where the bride and groom are, the stage for me over in the corner, and then you have the dance floor. There's still quite a gap in between. Now, I could have done the floodlights, but they didn't want floodlights everywhere. They wanted it just on the dance floor. So what I did is I just brought these two guys, and I had the actual beams and everything focused on the dance area. So I was still able to create flood effects, but I was able to also use some of the gobos built in and the options to create really cool patterns on the dance floor. And it wasn't patterns that people noticed right away, but you could actually see and feel the movement as you were out there dancing. So that was one of the great things about it. But also then I had another event coming up. It was a Sweet 16. And in the Sweet 16, well, Sweet 15, it was like a cross between a quinceañera and a Sweet 16. They wanted snowflakes on the wall. Now, I could have done the Source 4 projectors or Gobo projectors or something like that, but instead I used these guys because 80 watt LED pulls a lot less power than a 575 watt light, and these things gave me about the same width. I mean, you had a nice throw distance, they were bright, and I could do some really cool things with the snowflakes, like make them fall or twinkle or whatever I wanted to do. So that was really exciting about that. The very next event was a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, and they wanted a whole closing. They wanted to make it feel like a nightclub, but they wanted it to be pretty and elegant when everybody walked in, but still edgy and unique. And then when she came in, the whole place changed color, and that's exactly what I was able to do with these. Now, here's another fun thing you can do if you want to create a gobo upsell like never before. Okay, so again, we have multiple gobos that we have here. So what I would do is I would tell the brides, like, okay, so instead of doing a gobo projection, how about we do a whole gobo routine or gobo scene or whatever you want to call it? And she's like, well, what is that? Well, let's say, when you first come in, we just have your name scrolling across the floor, right? Your individual name. So it would say Jane Smith with John and John Doe, and that's it. Or maybe just the date or something, no big deal. All of a sudden, right before we come in, all the lights dim, and that name in the middle of the dance floor blurs. And everybody's attention's on that. It's like, why did it blur? And as it blurs, you turn it into just a regular spotlight. Nice, soft, blurred spotlight in there. Now that spotlight will go over towards the dance floor as we invite you, and we call all the guests. We do our grand introduction. And then when you get ready to come in, we put the prism on and we start rotating that spot. So it looks like there's 3 spots moving everywhere, but they're still focused on the door, creating that excitement when you walk in. We have a little bit of the strobe or the flash, and then it follows you as you walk in, and it goes towards the center of the floor for your first dance. After your first dance is over, we quickly fade out, go to the next gobo, which would have both your names together. So now we got a second gobo in, right? Has your names together, and it fades in. So when you guys are done dancing, both your names, Mr. and Mrs., appears on the floor. Now that fades out. Now what's the one thing that I always get from brides, and you may have heard too before? Well, can you put the spot or the gobo on the floor and then move it to the wall with a regular gobo projector? No, but with one of these, yes, you can. Okay, so then we address that as like, okay, well now, once you come in and you sit down, the lights come back on, and now your initials appear over the head table, or they'll appear over the cake table, or something really exciting. And they get really excited about it. Now you've got 3 individual gobos that you created, and you're using so far one moving head. Yes, it's a really expensive gobo projector, but something like this, think about it. Is your competition doing something like that? No. If they're not, why don't you be the first? And it just takes one of these guys. So imagine what you could do with a whole bunch of these. So again, the ADJ Inno Spot Pro. This is the standard, in my opinion, of what a moving head under $1,000 should be at. And the best part is, this is way under $1,000. It's $899 MAP pricing. So, I mean, you can imagine how many features you can get. You get 4 of these, you can do quite a bit with it. Or heck, even only 2 if you want to start out. But this gives you a lot of features at a price that you can't beat. And that's why it's become my favorite moving head. So again, Inno Spot LED by ADJ. My name is Ronaldo Offerman with Master School Dances. Thank you so much for listening to my video. And if you guys have any questions, please leave in the comment below. And the thing that I would love for you to do is click the really cool subscribe button and that like button, because all the cool kids are doing it. And you got to ask yourself, are you a cool kid? Of course you are. So click like. Thank you all so much. Until next time, good night and God bless.